Yeah, so you traveled to Reno, Nevada to get lucky and win big, and you didn't get so lucky because you got snow instead. So much for sitting by the pool, right? How about Las Vegas? You could be seeing snow as well, but we're here to talk about Canada. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. Your story is get ready for some more cold air and the return of some snow. Chilly New Year's Eve, we'll talk about that, and then also a stormy start to 2015. So there's a chance for snow, there's a chance for ice pellets, there's a chance for straight rain, everything all in this next storm. We'll dig into it. You might be digging out of it. We'll talk more about that. Let's go to this, though. In terms of when we talk about avalanche potential with higher elevations, we have a considerable level through the Caribous, the North Columbias, down through the South Columbias, the Purcells, the Kootenays, and then a moderate risk for Whistler and Sea to Sky. So if you have any reason to be driving up there, maybe for New Year's, I can imagine Whistler's got to be a great place to be for New Year's. Make sure you do note that you could be in for a moderate risk for avalanche activity. Want you to be safe. 1 degree for Whistler. And by the way, stay on the slopes. Don't do any, off-trail skiing and off-trail hiking, snowshoeing, those kinds of things when we have that avalanche potential. 3 degrees for Nanaimo, 2 for Campbell River. Good morning to you in Victoria. 1 degree for Victoria this evening, so very nice and mild around seasonal. -3 if you're bringing in the new year in Whistler. And then in the prairies, a lot more comfortable. We've seen -30s and 40s. Well, you can see by this is going to be a lot better to bring in the new year in Calgary and Lethbridge. How about you in Saskatoon, Regina? Maybe you're spending your day in Wascana Park, or tonight, maybe watching some some fireworks celebrations. Let's take a look at the Paw, -19, Brandon at -16, and Winnipeg -19. So it's cold, but it's a lot better than where we were. So we have the snow squall potential again today. This is day number 2 or 3. Day number 2 of the major snow, I guess. We saw yesterday our wind vectors positioned like so. So we had a lot of that snow moving through Collingwood, who picked up 12 centimeters. Now our winds have shifted like that out of the southwest, west-southwesterly. That's going to bring those heavier amounts into Parry Sound. Parts of Cottage Country, 10 to 20 centimeters of fresh snow, 20 to 30 for you in Parry Sound. And we won't rule out the Niagara region as well, because we do have a great fetch or distance over Lake Erie. Sometimes we get that southwest flow over that lake. It also can produce some lake effect squalls in the lee. All right, -16 for Niagara Falls if you're ringing in the new year in Collingwood, -17 at Blue Mountain with some fresh snow. Quebec City, Montreal, great places to ring in the new year, -17. The message here is bundle up and do expect some more snow on the western side of Newfoundland. Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. Here are some of the top stories that we're working on as we welcome in 2015. Yeah, we're going to start the year off with a storm. Let's talk about some of our developing stories. And there we go. Snow in the east. That's a big one. Chilly New Year's Eve. That's another big one. And stormy start to 2015. You probably heard us talk about this storm that's on the way for the beginning part of the new year. We'll have details on this weekend's event. All right, because it does look like it's becoming more and more certain. I don't like saying that word certain, but more and more probable that we'll have a storm. -7 in Regina this afternoon. Temperatures are warming a little. -1 in Calgary, +1 in Vancouver, -1 in Edmonton. That's a lot better in terms of the wind chills. We were at -30s and 40s this past week, so it is relaxing a little bit. We talked about that for Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. And then really next week again, we could see some of the coldest air that we've seen this season. All right, let's show you the areas where that dog is running could be melting. So be careful. Any open waterways, pay attention. It's thin ice out there, right? 3 degrees, Nanaimo. I always remember my mom saying, you're walking on thin ice. By the way, it's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to my mom today, New Year's Eve. What a party. 4 degrees in Victoria, 1 degree in Vancouver, and -2 for Campbell River today, 1 degree in Nanaimo for this evening. Vancouver, welcome back in the rain. It's going to be a much more active weather pattern. Temperatures rebound up to about seasonal, and we have showers in the forecast. So let's take you to an area that doesn't absolutely gorgeous. All right, so temperatures -6 for you in Calgary, clear this evening, -6 for Lethbridge, -6 for Drumheller. High pressure being the name of the game still. In fact, so strong that Seattle, Washington reported the highest pressure ever on record. So that's how strong this high has been. When we talk about an Arctic area of high pressure, that means that often we're going to get a lot of sunshine, but we're going to get very extreme cold or warm in the summer. You can get really warm temperatures with high pressure in the summertime. Let's take a look at the moisture that I was just talking about. This moves in from the Alaska region, the Aleutian Islands, and that's basically kind of like a storm factory out there. They bring in a lot of storms into the west coast. We're going to see high elevation snowfall, Prince George up through Stewart, and then down towards the south, it's all but the rainfall. But then Edmonton will see a redevelopment of a secondary low, or a new low, I guess, in the lee of the Rocky Mountains. That's going to bring possibly up to 20 centimeters for you in Edmonton on your Thursday into Friday. So there's a look at your 7-day forecast, Edmonton. Look at this. Temperatures back into the minus 30 range, minus 26 by early next week. And then that air will flood the rest of the country. Some of the coldest air that we've seen yet this season. Calgary, you're not going to do too bad. Friday, minus 2. Saturday, Sunday, that drop in temperatures, but minus 24 is about the coldest you'll get. Whereas I suspect areas like Manitoba and Saskatchewan, they're going to see the more extreme cold as this sets up for next week. All right, this evening, Regina, it's going to be cold, minus 18, but about the same temperature for Ontario. So for once, we're kind of evening out with this cold, whereas you've been in the minus 40s. So if you're going out to celebrate New Year's, bundle up. That's the message. Here we go. Remember I just mentioned parts of Manitoba, minus 38. You can see Sunday, minus 27 is the base temperature. Overnight lows before wind chills are going to be about minus 32, minus 33. It is going to be freezing. It doesn't take long to get frostbite in those kinds of conditions. We'll keep you posted on that next week. And we'll be back to talk more about the snow squall risk. Well, it's a Wednesday, but just not any old Wednesday. It's New Year's Eve, and who's excited? I know my mom is because it's her birthday, so every New Year's Eve is a big party for her. Happy birthday, Mom. Let's get into your story. If you have plans to go out this evening, make sure to bundle up. It's going to be cold, especially for areas like Ontario that wouldn't be close to the minus 20 degree mark, normally, or at least lately. It's going to be like last night again in Ontario. It's going to be cold in the East Coast as well, that cold air flooding in. Still looking at the western shores of Newfoundland with some sea effect. And in the prairies and the West Coast, temperatures actually rebounding, which is good news. All right, let's get you into the story with some of these sky conditions. 2 degrees for you in Abbotsford today with sunshine. Nanaimo, we have 3 degrees, minus 11 though up in Prince George. So still hanging on to a lot of colder air, especially as you climb in elevation. All right, let's go to West Vancouver. Yeah, lately, that's good news, but there hasn't been any precipitation. So now we have temperatures that are going to be colder at a higher elevation, plus we have the onset of lots of moisture from the Pacific, which is good. So that means higher elevation snowfall and then lower elevation or, sea level rainfall. So that's how the pattern looks for you in Vancouver into the next 7 days. Temperatures, as I mentioned, just relaxing a little bit. So minus 13 for Calgary with the wind chill tonight for New Year's Eve. If you're making your way to Saskatoon for some celebrations or maybe downtown Regina, minus 18, and then into Toronto, it's going to be cold tonight. We're going to see winds gusting over 60 kilometers an hour. We have some snow squalls in the lee of Lake Erie and the shores of Georgian Bay. In fact, you could be getting up to 20 to 30 plus centimeters if you're making your way up 69 or 11 through to Parry Sound, Muskoka. Be careful. You could have changing conditions very quickly with snow squalls. Minus 7 with the sunshine until you see those squalls. Anywhere that you don't have a squall, it'll be nice and bright, and that's the thing. It can change like that. Minus 8 in Sudbury. Temperatures are pretty warm, relatively in the day, but it's in the nighttime that we get these gusts picking up. That's going to make our wind chills really stinging. You know what I mean? We want your face covered tonight. If you're watching fireworks, maybe in Niagara Falls or maybe downtown Toronto, do dress for those winds. Up toward the north, Thunder Bay, minus 22 with the wind chill for you, minus 19 in Sudbury. And here we go into Montreal, a great place to spend New Year's Eve, and Quebec City, minus 15 this afternoon. This evening, though, you'll be close to that minus 20, even minus low 20s with the wind chill. We talked about that sea effect snow on the back, or the western side, I should say, of Newfoundland, 10 to 20 plus centimeters. So this has been day number 3 of this consistent westerly wind bringing in that moisture off the sea. And we see 5 to 10 centimeters up through Sept-Îles. And then get ready for a storm that we're watching into the long-range forecast this weekend. We could be seeing straight system snow rather than sea effect snow. That'll actually stop because our winds are going to shift around. Corner Brook, minus 16, minus 22 for Charlottetown this afternoon. So it's chilly, and this is that high pressure that's in play. We are watching a couple systems that move closer to home here. This one here might just bring a few scattered flurries in through St. John's. This is by tomorrow and into tomorrow evening. So wind chills is the name of the game. If you haven't got that from the last few minutes, dress for it. Here's more on the wind chill with the science behind the weather. Don't you just love this time of year when we start planning for the next year and you can actually say to people, hey, see you in the new year, and it's like tomorrow? I love that. But maybe you have some great plans for 2015. I have this sneaky suspicion that it's going to be my best year yet. I don't know why, I just do. So there you go. That's maybe you have a New Year's resolution. We'd love to hear from you. Send it to me on Twitter, JWhittal. Snow in the east, some of our top stories. Chilly New Year's Eve. If you're bringing in the new year outdoors, make sure you have a nice warm parka, and a stormy start to 2015. Yeah, I'll have details on that storm coming up this hour. Let's get you into the stories. So watching some moisture moving in on the Pacific coast. Really not a lot going on in the prairies. Seeing a developing low down through the Four Corner states, the United States. That's going to merge with a system in Canada and kind of do like that, kind of make a join, forces with a bigger low that'll move through by the weekend. We'll have all the details on what you can expect with that storm, first of the season. Let's go to the west coast right now. So high as of late. Well, you've seen a big push of mild air over the first few weeks of December. Get ready for lower snow levels. That means more snow for skiers right into the next 2 to 3 weeks of January. So this afternoon, 1 degree for Vancouver, clear. Campbell River, you're at 2. Nanaimo at 3 this afternoon. Good morning to you in Vancouver. This afternoon, you'll warm up to about 1. Whistler, -3 by this evening. Clear conditions, so still high pressure. In fact, the highest recorded pressure ever was reported in Seattle, Washington. So that says to me that Vancouver probably would have seen similar, high pressure. And what we mean by that is we measure an area of high pressure or low pressure in something called millibars. The stronger the high, the more potent the high, the higher the number. The stronger or deeper the low, the lower the number. So this low that's going to move through Ontario, we'll watch that closely to see how low it drops in central pressure to see its strength, intensity. Let's take a look here at Vancouver. Your long-range forecast, a much more active pattern, a lot of moisture. That means higher elevation snows and lots more rain for the west coast. Kelowna, -2 for Saturday and Sunday, -3, and we have some snow flurries in the forecast. All right, let's show you one of the most beautiful shots. Or it looks just like that everywhere you look. You could just continuously do circles and you just see mountains. It's beautiful. All right, Calgary, it's beautiful there too, -6, getting a bit of a warm-up. Temperatures with the wind chill -13, -15 for you in Lethbridge, but you are looking at a relaxing kind of pattern in terms of the cold. So the Arctic air is going to simmer down for about 3 or 4 days, but don't get too used to that, because then next week, as we welcome in 2015, you're going to need many layers. It is going to be very cold. Here's the next push of moisture we're seeing on the west coast. It's an Aleutian low, or originates in the Alaska vicinity, the Aleutian Islands. What that means is it's going to bring a lot of moisture in. It's going to redevelop into a secondary low in the lee of the mountains into Edmonton and Calgary by Thursday night into Friday. You're going to see some snow potential. Maybe not a huge event, maybe 10 centimeters, generically speaking. We'll keep a close eye on that story. This evening, Saskatoon -14, Regina -18. That's a lot better, right? Next week, it's going to be back into the -30s and 40s. All right, snow squall threat continues for Ontario, plus the western shores of Newfoundland. We'll be back with more. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy birthday to my mom. Yes, and Happy New Year by tomorrow. 2015, how's it looking so far weather-wise? Oh, cold. Yeah, that'd be just the one word for it. Cold start to the new year. We'll make sure you're prepared and ready to get out the door tonight for your celebrations and then right into next year. All right, let's take a look at our cloud tops. This shows the moisture moving in on the northwest coast. This is Pacific moisture originating from the Aleutian Islands. We call that kind of a storm factory, as it churns out a lot of areas of low pressure. And then they often develop in the lee of the Rocky Mountains in Alberta. Let's take you to Alberta. Through the Kananaskis ones. Beautiful. All right. So although I don't look so good on those skis and snowboards as those people do, no, usually on my butt, always falling on my butt. All right, -1 for Edmonton this afternoon, -1 for you in Grand Prairie, 2 for Abbotsford. Temperatures really kind of warming a little compared to what we've seen this past week. So it's moderating. This air mass is finally settling down a bit, but don't get too used to it, because as I mentioned, in the new year, it's going to really be cold. Some of the coldest air we've seen yet this season. This evening, though, not too bad for New Year's Eve if you're celebrating in Calgary with some fireworks, -13. How about Saskatoon and Regina? Well, this is a little better, right? -14, -18 compared to the -30s and close to -40s for some over the last week. All right, so maybe not timed perfectly for Christmas this year, but Parry Sound, Aurelia, Penetanguishene, Midland, all those areas, Collingwood, getting some snow for New Year's. Let's go to Bowmanville. We may not know what it's like to drive through a snow squall. You can be driving, it's sunny, it's beautiful, all is well, and then bam, you hit a wall of snow. That's how the driving is going to be up through Highway 11, Highway 69 today. Perry Sound, you're going to get hit hard with 20 plus centimeters, maybe 30 plus centimeters. And then the rest of the areas, maybe 10 to 20 in the blue. That means you, Gravenhurst, areas like Vancouver, that's where my brother lives, Penetanguishene, Midland, as I mentioned, all the way through Collingwood, who picked up 12 centimeters yesterday. Here's your temperatures this afternoon. Tonight will be cooler. So if you're celebrating in Niagara Falls, bundle up, minus 16 with the wind chill. Collingwood, if you're on the Blue Mountain having some fun, ringing in the new year, bundle up with some fresh snow. It's going to be very, very nice. All right, into Quebec, it's cold there too. Montreal always has a great New Year's celebration, minus 8 with the wind chill closer to that minus 20 range. We do have CFX snowfall continuing on the western shores of Newfoundland for day 3, 10 to 20 plus centimeters.